And action.
Ow! Hey, it's Kevin and Fred. Do you have a referral for us here in Phoenix? There are 30,000 agents here that you could send them to. Why us? Well, for one thing, we'll keep you updated and you'll never have to track down your commission.
We'll also make you look really good to your client. And best of all, it helps us keep all this content free. So go to kevinandfred.com/referral to make the introduction. We'll take great care of them.
All right, we're back on the Kevin and Fred show, and today I'm joined by Mr. Daniel Dixon out of the Denver, Colorado area. Daniel, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? I'm excited.
Me too. I'm stoked to do this. You don't really know this, but I've wanted to do this with you for a while because I've been able to see how from afar, anyways, like see your business grow, and that has been cool. And you forged a different path. You and I were talking a little bit offline before we hit record today. And so I'm excited to sort of dive into that path and some of the things that you're doing that's cool, and not just in business, but in other parts of your life, and just kind of get to know you better, dude.
Absolutely. This is I haven't done very many podcasts, so this is exciting. I love your and Fred's authenticity and just being able to just shoot the shit, be who I am, you be who you are, and just share knowledge and just help.
No doubt. Well, that's cool. Let's do this, Daniel. For anybody who, like, just for context reasons, tell us, like, how long have you been in real estate? Like, and I guess what I always like to know is why did you get into real estate? Like, what made you decide this career?
Yeah. So I got licensed at the end of 2013. So I've been a licensed agent for about 6 full years. I got into real estate actually by accident, silly as that sounds. My first real job, I was selling timeshares before I got into the mortgage industry. And so my brother kept telling me, he's like, dude, you got to get into the mortgage industry. You got to get into the mortgage industry. And that was in 07 and 08. So I worked for a company called Lending Tree in California, was originating loans all over the country, and then the market crashed. So moving out here to Denver, fast forward a couple years, weathered the storm a little bit, came out to Denver to start a new life. And my brother was working at this weird company called Trulia, some internet startup, selling zip codes to agents. And I'm like, what? Like, no, there's no way I'm going to do that. So it's a cool startup company. He was having a ton of success, and he's like, D, you got to get over here. This is fun. We always love real estate. And I never had any intention on actually being a real estate agent. So went to Trulia before they got bought by Zillow, was killing it, was a top producer there, and was working with some of the biggest accounts across the country, teaching agents how to grow teams, how to internet market, how to convert online leads better, faster, put all your leads in different buckets with follow-up systems and things like that. And then Sean and I kind of took a step back and said, wait a minute, we're doing this for all these agents across the country. Like, no, let's get licensed and let's start building our own empire. And so became an agent, knew nothing about how to write a contract. I knew how to convert leads. I knew how to, schmooze people and love on clients and show houses. And then just slowly got an idea of how to do all of this stuff. And then, fast forward, now I'm running a big $100 million team with 25 real estate agents, 6 loan officers. It's been a pretty wild ride.
Dang. Okay. So hold on a second. You said agents and loan officers. Tell me about that.
Hang on one second.
I love it. That's real life, dude. I love it. I had my friend Katie on, like probably, we recorded, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something. And like one of her kids just straight up walked in the room, laid down on the couch next to her, and then like got up and left finally. And she did it all without like freaking out on like mom duty. It was so funny. I'm like, let's just leave that in there. So that's real life. Anyways,
I told them I was going to be on a podcast, and they're like a real podcast with like people are going to be listening to you. So they're kind of excited for me.
That's awesome. I love it. So, okay. So you said agents and lenders. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So as we continued to grow, as I became a high producing agent, the biggest challenge we kept having is dealing with lenders. We have a deal blow up right before closing and I knew nothing about it, or I have an internet lead that we're working on converting that needs to take an app right now and lenders aren't available. And so after going through probably 10 or 12 different lending partners that I couldn't find some synergy with, I said, I have a mortgage background. Let me go get a mortgage license. So I'm a licensed MLO, and we brought all of our lending in-house.
Oh, wow. That's
So I have a
cool.
big mega agent team, and then we service about 75 to 80% of all of our buyer business.
Wow. That's cool. Do you know Justin Martin by chance? He's in Denver as well.
Justin Martin, I don't think so.
Maybe I'll have to connect you guys later. He's very similar. So super similar story. Actually had him on the podcast not too long ago as well. I'll connect you guys. That's he's a cool guy, but got a very similar model too. But anyways, I digress. So okay, so
Yeah,
you got the lending thing going on and the real estate side going on. You said 100 million, dude. That's a big number. Most agents,
yeah.
like I know agents that don't get there in their career, much less in a year. So how do you go in 6 full years, like from I got a license and I'm selling lead, or I'm one day I'm selling leads and I got a license and now I'm doing 100 million a year in sales. Like, tell me about that.
Man, it's been a journey. I remember in one of our old offices, we had this big $100 million sticker that we put on the wall, and I'm like, all right, like that is the top. As soon as I can get there, like 5 years from now, this is going to be amazing. And last month we finally crossed that $100 million mark, and it's been an absolute wild ride. One of my mentors when I first got into the industry, I know how to convert leads. I know how to do all of this stuff. And he told me, he goes, well, D, if you can do this, that's awesome, but you're going to run out of time. We only have 24 hours in a day. Your real value is going to be if you can teach others to do what you do. And that's going to be the ability to scale. And I learned that in year 2 of being an agent, which really started prompting me to get out of actually transacting, and then being more of a business owner and teaching agents, empowering our leaders to go then teach the newer agents, getting these people in, growing them from the ground up, how to convert internet leads, how to love on people, how to sell real estate, how to compete in multiple offer situations, all of that fun stuff. So we've built this. You know Brett Tanner. You know Brett
Yeah,
Tanner.
I've known
Yeah,
Brett
you know
forever.
Brett.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been coaching with Brett for like 4 years, and coach, friend, mentor, like the guy is amazing. So a lot of what we've built has been with his direction, with his guidance, with his, learning through a lot of his failures and a lot of his mistakes that he's made over his career. So I've been lucky to, stand on the shoulders of a giant and really streamline this growth from doing 5.5 million year 1 to now having my team cross that 100 million mark this year.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know, like I said, known Tanner forever. He's one of the smartest guys I think I've met. The
Mhm.
guy just sees all the angles. He sees things that a lot of people don't. And in a lot of ways, I made a big change in my business um, directly as a result of a conversation he and I had one day randomly. We were just sitting in a market center together, and I asked him a question, and he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And then I probably still have the notepad somewhere. He drew something out for me. I was like, dude, I made a change. We implemented it like within 30 days and off to the races. For
Yeah,
context, I think we were like, um, I don't know, 30, 40 million the year before. And next year was 87. I don't think we've been under 100 cents. And it was just like,
that's cool.
yeah, just go. Right. And it's the guy's super smart. I love too. So you said you've been coaching with Brett for 4 years. You've been
Yeah,
licensed for 6.
yeah,
That means you realized early on you should have a coach. I love that,
absolutely.
man. You love like someone to point you in that direction. Like, how did that come about?
So coach was always really important to me, but I couldn't find the right one. I interviewed Tom Ferry coaches or Mike Ferry, whoever, interviewed MAPS coaches, and I couldn't see, I needed someone to help me build a business, not someone to hold me accountable to how many calls I made or recruiting calls I made or so on. And so I interviewed a lot of different people, couldn't just find the right synergy for the amount of money that I was going to be spending on coaching. And then Nick Evans actually was in an office next, Nick, don't you?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So he was in an office next to me, and he was coaching with Brett, and he's like, "Hey, I'm taking my business in a different direction. Would you be open to coaching with him?" I'm like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" Like, yes, please. And so my phone call with Brett, and what really changed with me leveraging my business and getting out of actually producing was our first conversation. He goes, "All right, D, what happens?" I had 2 kids at the time, a wife, and he goes, "What happens if you get hit by a bus?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm screwed. Like this, we got to start all over." And he goes, "All right, that's the reason that we need to build an empire." I'm like, there we go. This isn't about me so much and how many houses I can sell. This is about leading others and really running a business that, if I do get hit by that bus, we still have revenue generating for my family, something my wife, my kids can run in the future as well. So
I,
creating
lo-
that
I,
legacy.
I love that, man, because like the question I would have asked before, like that I was thinking of as you were talking was, you appeared to go from realtor to business owner real quick and damn near nonchalantly, bro. So like that is the biggest struggle. Anybody listening to this podcast or watching the video of this interview, I promise you 90% of them are struggling with that right there. That's the most common thing I hear. And I talk to realtors all the time is to actually go from I'm selling real estate to I'm owning a business, right? And that
Mhm.
transition point is nasty. It's hard. You get punched in the
It
face a lot, really, right? And there's just no way to go, kind of like transactions. The only way to go through it is to go through it. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you just got to go through something. And I think that's where most people go, oh no, my income's going backwards and this sucks. I don't like it. And then
Yep.
so they retreat for a myriad of reasons. But you seem to just like, no, I gotta go. Like,
Yeah.
was that easy for you? Was it just because you decided to trust like your coach and follow that path, or did it come natural to you? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot to do with Brett. I wanted to build a team of 4 agents and have them all selling 100 houses apiece. And Brett's like, that's not going to work. He's like, Daniel, they're all leaving, and maybe in 6 months, maybe in 2 years, maybe in a year, whatever it is, they're all going to end up leaving. So you need to fortify your business by having more people. So when you do lose somebody, you have somebody jumping up and filling that role. And I was at a Ben Kenny training probably year 1.5 years in the industry. And he was saying that one of the biggest things that you can invest in is people. And if you just invest in people, they're gonna be able to give you exponential returns, way more than a house will, way more than a leads will, or anything like that. So for me, taking the step back was nerve wracking. It definitely didn't go from selling 40, 50 houses a year to zero. I mean, there was a progression there as well, but none of this would be what it is if I didn't have the leaders that I've poured into, that are driving my business at this point. So it's
Yeah.
really getting in business with the right people. I like to say our business is Black owned, women led, and homegrown because I'm
Ooh, I
Black,
love that.
right? My director of operations and my sales director are both, one's my sister, the other one's my first hire. So sales manager runs the entire sales squad. My director of operations run the TCs and everything, not sales. And then everybody, I've never been in a managerial role before getting into this. Amanda, who's my sales director, had never been, she was a nanny before getting into real estate. Dominique worked at Zillow as well, but in customer service, and she runs our whole operations. So, it took a long, we're seeing the hockey stick growth now, but over the last couple of years, it hasn't been that pop yet. And now
Yeah.
we all know what we're doing at a really high level. So now it's just, I often say clarity equals speed. And now we're super clear with where we're headed, what we do well, what we don't do well. So now we're able to go faster and faster.
Yeah, man. So much of that too is like it's that compound effect. It's the
Hmm.
one thing, however you want to look at it. It's like when you really stay on something, and you stay there and don't get distracted with all of the shiny things that as realtors we get distracted with and
Yeah.
get sold and shit like that. Like, but when you stay on it, like that's how you, yeah. And it's just you see that hockey stick. And I'm not surprised to hear that you've been on it for 4 years plus, really going after it like that, and that you're really taking off and hitting some serious numbers at this point. Like that doesn't surprise me at all to hear that. That's in fact that's real normal. Most people though, and I don't know, did you think it was going to take you 4 years or 5 years or 6 years to really get to this big of a business, or did you just go, I believe in this and I'm going to follow the path? Like what was that process for you?
It's just been that goal. It's been that sticker up on the wall that I would look at every day, like, all right, 100 million. Last year we did 82 million. So we didn't hit that. We had a great year, but still not 100 million. Right. So then it's just continuing to refine that process. And so all of our goal setting needs to exceed that number. How many agents do we need to hit that? What is our average transaction count per agent in order for us to get there? We focus a lot on lag metrics, not the leading metrics. A lot of agents in real estate focus on closings. We
Yep.
focus on phone calls. We focus on contacts, because if we put a lot of effort and a lot of heavy lifting on those process driven goals, the closings are just going to be a byproduct of that.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. Like that's a cool thing. Like what I think most people, I could be wrong. But my experience tells me, my intuition tells me probably not. Like most people go, man, this takes me 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I want to do it. But then they get 6 months in or
Yeah.
9 months in, or even a year and a half in. I'm just getting punched in the like for me, I'm always like, it's like getting punched in the mouth, man.
Mhm.
Getting your teeth kicked in or something, like it hurts. Like you just take shots. There's ups, there's downs, and most people want to retreat. Especially as realtors, like we have the opportunity to have such a great income, right? You can actually have a job as a realtor, a sales job, whether you're on a team or doing your thing solo, it doesn't matter. You can have a great income, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, and so I think it's so easy to go, I want to go back to that when it
Right.
gets uncomfortable following the path that you followed.
Well, one of the things too, I had two young kids. I have three kids now, two young kids and a stay-at-home wife. And I was making great money, but I wasn't being the best father and I wasn't being the best husband. So I hit a weird spot. It was probably a defining moment in my career where it was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm busting my ass and making all this money and closing all these houses, which is awesome. But my marriage is failing and I'm not. I grew up with a single mother of three kids without a father my whole life. So being a good dad has always been a top priority for me. And when you reflect and look back at my kids growing up and I'm not there as much as I'd like to be. And my wife's frustrated because I'm not there as much as she'd like me to be. It really you're put into a weird spot in life where it's very difficult for you to make more money and have more time. It's like a pendulum, right? You gotta pick one. If you want to
Yeah.
make more money, you're gonna have less time. If you want more time, you're gonna make less money. And so I was willing to take less money to have more time to pour into people, but still be at home at 5 or 6 o'clock at night to be able to be present for the kids and the family and not have to work on the weekends as much anymore. And that's really what drove it. And I mean, I wouldn't have this lending arm if I was still in production. If I
Yeah.
was still closing houses, I wouldn't be able to dive in and understand TRID and disclosures and
All that stuff. Yeah.
dude, it is crazy.
Dude,
It is
I
crazy.
love that you said that. First of all, I just was talking to my buddy Ronnie Doss, who talks to a lot of business leaders and um, corporate folks and coaches them and stuff. We were just having the conversation last night about um, how many successful people we've talked to from all industries that effectively now in their 50s and 60s, and they're trying to use all the money that they built to buy back their relationships with their children. And I'm like, how like that's just never it's not a thing. Like that's just not a possibility for me. It's not a possibility for you.
Mhm.
It's like not something that that's not a road we're going down, right? So I love that you did that. I remember specifically Fred and I actually we had a conversation. Like we actually verbalized this, like, hey, you prepared to go backwards in income for the next like 2 years, maybe even three. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we still make a great income. Like no one should feel bad once you've got a thriving business in real estate. It's not like we're gonna, be out on the street, but it was like we really had the conversation. Like, you ready to go backwards for a couple of years because we've been doing it all, so that way we can take a big leap forward. And
Mhm.
we both agreed. And I love that you've literally had that decision point too. I think that's something that a lot of people go, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. I'll do that. And then again, you get to it and it's like, oh, damn, I want to go back to making all the money.
Yep. Yep. I
Right.
mean, for me, my time right now, maybe it's going to be different when there's one of them right there, actually.
Love it.
Maybe it's going to be different when they're 15, 16, 17. Um, but I mean, the more time you have, the more time you have to reflect. There's this really good book that we read called Road Less Stupid.
I already knew you were
And
going to
the
say
author, I
that.
can't think of his name right now.
Keith
Keith
Cunningham.
Cunningham. There we go.
Dude, I spent 2 days
And
with that guy
thinking
last year.
time. Did you?
Changed my life, bro.
He's special, dude.
I spent 2 days with him and immediately bought the book without even reading it. Didn't buy the book. I bought a case of it so I could give it away to people.
Yeah.
And this was last June. Like if you go look on my Facebook, I posted a picture. Like it was the most impactful 2 days I'd ever spent with somebody. And that one thing, thinking time, like got put into our calendars. And every week for the last almost year and a half now, there's at least one big block. And if not
Yep.
two, man, it's a game changer.
It really is that reflection, that time. We have so many distractions with our phones and our life and our business and our clients and everything else going on that sometimes we got to just shut it all off and just have time to have that thinking time, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's a game changer. I highly recommend the book for anybody listening to this that hasn't heard of the book or hasn't seen it. It will literally change your business, change your perspective on business. Um, it's phenomenal.
There's nothing, there's no book, there's no business book better in my opinion. Like it's
I don't
just,
think so.
it's, uh, it did. Yeah. It's that impactful. I like, yeah. Anyways, we could probably talk about Road Less Stupid
For sure.
and plus it's such a great title, right? Like what a great title for a
Yep.
book. So that's cool. So tell me, so you and I are recording this. It's the end of 2020, which has been in all, it's been a kind of a weird year in a lot of ways, both
Mhm.
socially, but also because the market has been so crazy hot. Um, Talk to me about what do you like, what's on tap for you in 2021 and beyond? Like, what are your big goals? What are you after? What are the things that are important to you?
Yeah, we have some like monstrous goals. Um, so we do. So we a lot of agents, and I learned this early on, even when I was working at Trulia, and everyone does their business planning in December for the new year, and then they look at the end of December, or even sometimes in the early part of January, reflect on what happened last year. And we actually do business planning at the end of November, so we use December as a bonus month because whatever we're going to get put under contract in December is going to start January off hot. So our goal next year is 173 million. We've almost doubled our business every year. So we're looking at like a 35 or 40% growth next year, which when you have these huge numbers, it's remarkable to make that kind of growth. So we're looking at 170 million, about 520 units, $100 million loan team, um, creating our own title company. Like we're trying to get this whole vertical integration thing down, and then just dial in. We do all of our business planning, and then we break them up into the most smallest chunks. So we're evaluating week over week, not necessarily month over month, because 4 weeks in, you're too late, you're too far behind to change some of your habits and affect the rest of your year. So as we do business planning in January and realize like, oh shit, well, here's the plan, but we're already at the middle of January,
Already
and
behind.
we're trying to fit it. Yeah, we're trying to fit 12 months in 11 months. Like, holy shit, we're always going to start off behind. So we made a fundamental change last year to start doing business plan in November and then use December as that bonus month so we can really hit January off strong.
Man, I
50
love that.
agents. Yeah,
50.
50 real estate agents. Yeah, we're at 23 or 24 right now. We hired a full-time recruiter, which Brett has been in my ear about that for probably the last like 6 months. Um,
Man.
so we're having that full focus and attention on bringing in talent, training people, loving on people. We spend a lot of time with personal development, and I can teach you how to sell a house. I can teach you how to convert leads, all the other stuff. But if your home life sucks, none of it's going to work. If you're making a bunch of money but you're broke, none of this is going to work. So I think one of the reasons we have a sticky team and we don't have a huge turnover like some of these big teams do is because we really spend time on building the person, on building their wealth, on making sure that their habits are on point, making sure their family life is on point. And I think that's why a lot of our agents love us like we do, because I mean, again, I can teach you to sell a house, but you're going to hit a point where you're going to hit and then what? How do we go from there? How do we continue to create that longevity? And I still want to prove Brett wrong that I'm not going to lose all my agents in 2 years. So that's one of my goals.
I, I'll tell you. So here's the deal, because he said that to me too. By the way, at that time when him and I sat down for half an hour, he said that to me, and I was like, I get it, I get it. And so I have that mindset, but it's that, and you get here, you first of all, everyone's got in that part, in that relationship, has to prove themselves, right? We've got to prove ourselves as a
Mhm.
company, as a platform for that agent, as the support system for that agent, and that agent has to prove themselves as the agent. And assuming that we both do that, you could bet your ass I'm working my ass off to make sure that they never leave, or at least that they
Yeah.
stay as long as possible, and that when that time, if that time comes, then everyone's fulfilled, man. Everybody is fulfilled from it. I'll tell you, um, because I think that's a healthy mindset that Brett shares. and it's also it's a little incomplete for in my universe. And so they're all always leaving. And if I can provide enough value for the ones that we want to stick around and stay forever, like then they can stick around and stay forever. As long as my vision and your vision, like whoever the leader is big enough for them to get what they want, then why not? Why can't we be in business forever?
Well, and I think that's one of the things that drives me the most now is I have to create a business that's big enough to have multiple career opportunities, multiple career paths for people. Just being an agent on my team is not going to be enough. So we've leveraged it where we just promoted one of our agents to be, we call it a senior agent that's running a pod of 12 agents. And we have these other smaller teams that are running basically their mini me team. So you have the Dixon group, which is our umbrella, and then you have the autonomy to build your own team more or less, through our leadership training and through our growth within our world. So we have those different growth paths. It's hard to promote an agent. Like, you're self-employed. Like, how do you get promoted, right?
Yep.
So we've created these different business lines. We've created these different career paths for our agents to either, get an ISA that's just going to be generating business for you, and you're going to get off the phones and not have to prospect anymore. You want to really get out of production and go teach and train people. We have that path. You want to just create an army of people underneath you, and all of you guys are getting it, and grinding together all day. We have that too. Or if you want to just be the solo agent that does 15 to 18 transactions a year and live a cool life and travel, we have that for you as well. I think having that plethora of options is important so people see what is next. We're innately as humans, we're always going on that carrot that's dangling. And until I lose that opportunity to dangle that carrot on the next opportunity for our group, I think is when we're going to start having some major changes.
That's awesome. Dude, I love how fucking clear you are on that. Um, Tell me about like what are some of your other goals, dude? Because um, you said black owned, female led, homegrown, which
Yeah.
I totally love. I love that at a high level. Um, like what are that tells me, dude, that you're not in this because you want to make a buck. And money's important. Like let's all be really clear about that. Money's important. But I have the sense that this isn't about Daniel just lining his pockets. Not when you have a slogan like that. So
Yeah.
tell me what's behind that.
So as I've been coming up in KW and I go to all these events and these guest speakers and everything like that, I kept looking at people on stage and looking at people teaching these classes, and I'm like, none of these people look like me. So how do we get more minorities into this business? How do we get more people that look like me, that or look different than me for that matter? But how do we get more people that don't look like the typical $100 million producing agent or team? And how do we share more information in that? And so as we've been growing, we've dabbled in couple different charities and giving back. And I think we've dialed it in this year. So we have one charity, which we're super excited about, which we're going to be launching, minorities in real estate, launching their real estate careers. So we're going to pay for some of their dues. We're going to help giving them guidance, giving them mentorship, whether they join our team or whether they're with our market center, whatever it is, just really giving them tools, giving back, giving them help, teaching classes, doing some of those things. And the one that's super near and dear to my heart that we just launched actually yesterday, super excited about this, but we have a foundation that we're doing for single mothers. And so, yeah, so I grew up with a single mother of three kids. My cousins, who are, I say, my brother and my sister, my DOO, and then one of my sales leaders, their mom, which is my mom's sister, grew up with a single mom. My grandmother was a single parent. And so looking back on my life, I never knew when I was younger that I was missing out on anything. Some of my fondest memories are when my mom had food stamps, and we would go to a place in California called Food for Less, and I would get this little food stamp for $10, and I could go buy anything I wanted to in the store. And that was like that is one of my happiest memories of going over to the frozen aisle section, grabbing my popsicles or whatever I wanted at the time, and being able to get that stuff. And I remember that my mom was always robbing Peter to pay Paul. And if she just had a little bit of a lifeline, she just had someone to help out with expenses in 1 month, she could stop working that overtime or not pick up that extra shift and spend more time with us or go to my sporting events or different things like that. And so with this foundation, what we're doing is we're paying 1 month of housing expenses for single parents. So every closing, we're going to be donating money into our foundation. And then every month, we're going to be selecting a family that we're going to pay up to $2,000 of their housing expenses, just to give them that lifeline, that helping hand to help them, either catch up or get ahead or just breathe.
What's the name of the foundation?
It's called JLK. So Janice, Lisa, and Kristen, which are so JLK Foundation. If you could see how excited I am about it, it's something that's super dear to my heart.
I can see it, brother. And for those of you not listening, or who are listening and not watching, go to YouTube or Facebook and watch this so you can see it, because I can fucking see it on your face.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this because I just remember I'm the youngest of 3 kids. I'm a mama's boy. My mom has always been like my best friend. And, we've gone through a lot together. And I just know that if we can just give back, this has nothing to do about trying to generate more business. This has nothing to do about trying to leverage this to get more clients. Like, I'm so excited to give a month of housing expenses to someone that's deserving, someone that needs that help. And now that we're hit with all this COVID shit and the eviction memorandums are going away and all of that, I think that the timing is literally perfect to be able to help our community and I'm sorry, single mothers of minority children. That's the other piece. Single mothers of minority children.
So let me ask you this. Is there do you guys have it's brand new. Is there a website?
Yeah.
Could someone can one of our listeners find this and go, dude, that resonates with me. How do I donate?
Absolutely. We're finishing up all of the, we just incorporated everything. We got the 503C, we got all that stuff lined up. The website will probably be up in another week or so. So we'll have all of that. It'll be linked. It's not going to be on our website. It's going to be a splash page. You're going to be able to get to our website and stuff from it. But yeah, we're going to have our own entity and everything with it.
Okay, let's do this. It's gonna be more than a week before I can get this out on the podcast. Will you send me the link when you have it active so I can at least put it here in the show notes?
Absolutely.
And on the YouTube posts and stuff like that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. So anybody, if that matters to you at all, and if you have a heart, it does. Help him, help some people. Like help this group of people, help the group of people that need some fucking help. So especially this time of year, like you said, and this point in time, in fact, like, as you pointed out too. So, dude, I love that. What else, dude? What else are you passionate about? Let me ask you this. Like, I could probably talk to you for another hour, and not even lose a step here. Like, but tell me, because I did promise you we'd have a certain time cap, and we're probably coming up on that. What haven't I asked you yet? What's important? It could just be something quirky. It could be something like important to you. And it's just like, we got to add that into the story for so far.
Well, I wish I brought my Niner hat because I'm a big Niner fan. So
I like you anyways. It's cool. No.
Battle of the Bay, right?
Yeah.
I think anybody on the journey, right? Like I think getting a coach and someone that shares your vision, that can guide you. As I've dealt, I've had coaching calls with Brett, and I'm just cursing, and I hate this, and these agents leave, and I pour into them, and then they bounce, and all of that stuff. And I just want to have 5 agents and pour into them, have them sell a bunch of houses and everything. And if you look at some of the top producers in KW, all of them have armies. They have armies of people, whether it's an expansion group, whether it's the Loken group in Houston that have a bunch of agents. Like, they just have a bunch of people. And so I think that perspective of being able to be a coach, Brett always tells me, he's like, D, I'm 5,000 feet above you, trying to guide you through the wildfire. And I think that perspective, that's the importance of having a coach and a mentor, because when you're frustrated, when you're angry, when you're sad, when whatever emotion you want to fill in that blank, you need someone that's going to help you see straight. And that's someone that's going to help guide you through these trials and tribulations, because all it is failure. All it is lessons learned. All it is rough patches. All it is, I thought it would be fun to go get a lending license. And I haven't been this stressed my entire life trying to get docs out on a closing on time. So, all of these trials and tribulations, I love them because I truly believe in my heart that I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. And so as I'm losing sleep, dude, like there's been times I'm waking up because we're not meeting the closing on time, and I go to bed frustrated, and then wake up the next day panicked and frustrated. I never had those kind of feelings, but I know that I lived through that. So then for me, it's like, all right, cool. There's a hole in our boat. We need to patch up that hole so we're no longer taking on water. And after you do that enough times, you're not going to have any more holes, and that's when it's going to get fun, when we can really work on that scaling piece of growing a much, much, much bigger business.
Yeah, man. God, you guys, man, for those of you listening, you just got delivered a masterclass in leadership and business development over the last 35, 40 minutes. And my guess is you could learn a whole lot more. D, let me ask you this, man, before we go. Someone obviously when you we'll put the link in the notes for the 503c. Tell me, like, if someone else wants to reach out to you, just even if it's just to say, hey man, thanks a lot. That was super inspirational, or they got a question, or they just want to connect with you or follow you, your content and stuff, like how can people do that?
So my Instagram handle is at Dixon Sold It, DixonSoldit. If you want to email me, it's Daniel@dgdenver.com, DG as in Dixon Group. And I truly believe that if you just come from a place of contribution and help people, whether it's sharing information, obviously I can't sit on a phone call with you for an hour and train you and coach you up necessarily, as my schedule is crazy busy. But if we can just share information and I can help make agents, I mean, how those agents that are listening, like how many times have you dealt with a dumb shit agent that made your transaction that much harder? So if we can just talk to agents on being better at their job, I think it's going to make all of our lives easier and happier.
Yeah, no
So
doubt, man.
I love sharing information. We have a lot of stuff, different scripts that we use, different books that we recommend reading, all that fun stuff. I mean, this has truly been a journey, this has truly been a journey more than I had this idea of creating this business. This has just been small pivots. There's nothing that we do now at this point that is monumental as far as a new process or a new focus for us. Is just small pivots. We get hit with COVID, cut expenses, get lean, and then figure out where we go from here.
Yeah, man.
We lose a bunch of agents. Cool. Let's double down on a recruiter that's only making phone calls and booking appointments all day, every day. So if we lose 3, it's great because we're hiring 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but you only get there by all the trials and tribulations of the journey. The journey is what is the success piece. I'm never going to be at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
The journey is what I live for. The highs, I mean, it's silly as it sounds, the lows, going to bed going, how do I fix this problem? Like, what is going on? How do I get a better client experience? How do I keep my agents happier? How do I deliver more value? I think that's what I'm on this earth to do, is critically think some of those problems in my life, whether it's personal, professional, relationship wise, whatever it is, and just continue to try to be the best version of yourself.
Right on, man. I love that. Again, you just gave a second master class there. That's good. We might have to charge for this one. So, Daniel, thanks a lot for being here, dude. I really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of folks who are going to get a lot of value out of this podcast today. So thank you for being so open and sharing, and just for being you and doing what you do, man.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We'll talk to you next week.